I wish you were never born. That was the sentence that turned our Christmas dinner into something I don't think anyone at that table will ever forget. Not a joke, not a heated argument, not even a drunken outburst. She said it calmly, to my 5-year-old daughter. And the worst part? For 1 second, nobody moved. My name is Emma Parker. I'm 33, I'm married to my husband Ryan, and I genuinely thought this Christmas was going to be the year we finally got through a holiday without some kind of disaster caused by his mother, Diane. I know every family says that one person is difficult. You know the type, right? Sharp smile, passive-aggressive compliments, always one comment away from ruining the room. That was Diane, 62, impeccably dressed, obsessed with appearances, the kind of woman who could insult you while refilling your wine glass. But this wasn't one of those annoying in-law stories where someone brings the wrong pie or starts a political fight. This was my child. My daughter Lily is 5, sweet, chatty, a little shy in big groups, the kind of kid who still reaches for my hand under the table when she feels unsure. She had already had a rough year medically, and this was supposed to be a good Christmas, a healing Christmas, the first one in months where she finally seemed like herself again. That's why this mattered so much. And looking back now, I should have trusted my instincts the second Diane offered to come early. Because Diane never offered help. Ever. She wanted control, not connection. So when she arrived carrying a wrapped gift no one asked her to bring, smiling like she was auditioning for Best Grandmother of the Year, something in me tightened. Then I found her standing outside Lily's bedroom. She claimed she was just looking for the bathroom. I let it go. I should not have let it go. Because by the time we all sat down at that Christmas table, my daughter already knew something I didn't. And a few minutes later, she was about to say the one sentence that made the entire room turn toward Diane at once. Have you ever felt a room change before anyone says a word? Because that's exactly what happened that Christmas afternoon. Before dinner even started, I could feel it. Thin, sharp, wrong. Diane had arrived 20 minutes late, carrying this enormous wrapped box with a satin bow, acting cheerful in a way that immediately put me on edge. She kissed Ryan on the cheek, patted Lily's head like she was greeting somebody else's kid in a grocery store, and then handed the gift straight to my niece Ava, who's 7. Not to both girls, not to the family, to Ava. Nobody said anything at first. That was the pattern with Diane. She never did quite enough to sound openly cruel, just enough to make you question whether you were overreacting. Ava ripped the paper open and found this gorgeous dollhouse inside. Huge. Painted shutters, tiny furniture, the kind of gift that instantly dominates a room. Then Lily, being Lily, smiled and said, "Wow, Ava, can I play with you too?" And that's when I noticed the little plaque attached to the front. For Ava, with love from Grandma. Not Grandma Diane, not for the girls, just Ava. Ryan leaned over and muttered, "She's being thoughtless. Don't start." Thoughtless. That word. He had used it for years like it could explain everything. But this wasn't the first red flag. Diane had always treated Lily differently in these small, deniable ways. Bigger hugs for Ava, better presents, warmer voice. And every time I brought it up, I got told I was reading too much into it. Then Lily asked me something a few weeks before Christmas that I still can't forget. Why does Grandma Diane look mad when I talk? What do you even say to that? I told her she was imagining it. And sitting there, watching that dollhouse become the center of the room while my daughter stood politely off to the side in her own home, I realized I had been lying to both of us. Then, just before dinner, I saw something in Diane's purse that made my stomach drop. A gift tag with Lily's name on it, crossed out in black ink. You know that moment when your body realizes the truth before your mind catches up? That was me staring at the crossed-out gift tag in Diane's purse. Lily's name was written in Diane's handwriting, then slashed through so hard the card had bent. No second tag, no explanation, just that ugly black line. I barely had time to process it before Diane appeared behind me and said, almost sweetly, "Looking for something, Emma?" I shoved the purse closed and said no. But from that point on, I watched her. And once I started watching, I saw everything. At the table, there were 11 of us packed around the dining room under soft Christmas lights that suddenly felt fake. Ryan carved the ham. My sister-in-law poured wine. The kids were squeezed between adults, swinging their legs under the chairs. On the surface, it looked warm and normal. But Diane was performing normal, and there's a difference. She kept making those little comments, the kind that are poison if you hear the tone. Some children need to learn patience. Christmas is for grateful kids. Not everything in this house revolves around one little girl. No names, no direct accusation, but every single one landed near Lily like a dart. I kept waiting for Ryan to catch it. He didn't. Or maybe he did and didn't want to believe it. He just kept trying to smooth the edges of the evening, smiling too fast, changing the subject, asking who wanted more potatoes. Then Lily looked across the table at the dollhouse still sitting in the corner and asked in this small, careful voice, "Grandma Diane, did you not know I live here too?" Everything stopped. And Diane changed. The fake smile vanished. Her face went flat, cold, like she'd been waiting for permission to say what she really thought. Then she leaned forward and said, clear as crystal, "I wish you were never born." I was already pushing back my chair when she said the second part. Then my son would still have his real family. And just like that, every excuse died. Because Lily is Ryan's daughter. He adopted her when she was 2, legally, completely, proudly. But in Diane's mind, apparently, that never counted. My chair hit the floor. Someone gasped. Ava's mother grabbed her arm. Ryan went white. And before I could even reach Lily, my daughter looked up at Diane and said 5 words that changed everything. "You told me that before." Wait, what did you just say? I dropped to Lily's level so fast my knees slammed the hard wood. The whole room had exploded a second earlier, chairs scraping, people talking over each other, Ryan shouting, my sister-in-law pulling the kids back. But Lily's voice had cut through all of it, soft, clear, certain. "You told me that before." For a second, I actually stopped breathing. I took Lily's hands and tried to keep my own voice steady. "Honey, when did Grandma say that to you?" Lily looked scared now, not of Diane exactly, but of the room, of all the adults suddenly acting like thunder. Then she said, "In my room." She swallowed. "She said Daddy had a different little girl first." Every head turned toward Diane, and in that instant, the hallway sighting hit me like a truck. She hadn't been looking for the bathroom. She had gone into my daughter's room, on Christmas, in my house, and said something so cruel, so deliberate, that my 5-year-old had been carrying it silently through dinner while we all sat there pretending everything was normal. Ryan stared at his mother like he didn't recognize her. "Tell me that's not true." Diane gave this tiny, disgusted shake of her head and said, "She's confused." Confused? Lily immediately looked at the framed photo on the bookshelf across the room, the one from the day Ryan adopted her, and said, "No." You pointed at that picture and said Mommy made Daddy play pretend. The room went dead. That detail wasn't something she could have invented. Not at 5. Not like that. And suddenly, so many things snapped into place that I felt sick. Lily's nightmares the past 2 weeks. Her asking if Ryan would still love her when she got bigger. Her crying when he left for work that morning. I thought it was holiday overstimulation. I thought she was tired. No. Someone had poisoned her sense of safety. Then the family split right in front of me. My sister-in-law looked horrified. My husband's uncle muttered that Diane was from a different generation, like that explained anything. Ryan's face hardened in a way I had never seen before. He stood up, looked directly at Diane, and said, "Get out, now." And when she didn't move right away, he said something that made her finally understand this time was different. "If my daughter is telling the truth, you are done with this family." Want to know what the most chilling part was? She still tried to make herself the victim. Diane stood there in my dining room, coat over one arm, eyes darting around the table like she was waiting for somebody, anybody, to rescue her from the consequences of what she'd done. At first, she denied everything. Then, when no one stepped in, the denial shifted. It became minimizing, rationalizing, the classic retreat. "I didn't mean it like that. She's sensitive. You're twisting my words." But Ryan didn't let her hide behind any of it. He asked her one question in front of everyone. "Do you believe Lily is my real daughter?" And that was it. That was the moment all the fog cleared. Diane looked him dead in the face and said, "She is Emma's child. You chose this situation. Don't ask me to pretend it's the same." There it was, the truth. Ugly, plain, undeniable. Every weird comment, every unequal gift, every cold look, every time I had been made to feel paranoid for noticing the difference. She had never accepted Lily because Lily wasn't biological, and instead of dealing with that bitterness like an adult, she aimed it at a 5-year-old child. I felt this wave hit me. Rage first, then relief so intense it almost made me dizzy. Relief because I was not crazy. I had seen it, I had felt it, and now everyone else had too. Ryan started crying before Lily did. He knelt in front of her, held her little face in his hands, and said, "You are my daughter, mine, forever. Nothing she says changes that." That was when Lily finally broke. She buried herself into me and sobbed, and I held her while Ryan wrapped both of us in his arms, and the whole performance of holiday perfection finally collapsed around us. Diane left, not dramatically, no apology, just stiff, humiliated, and furious that the room had stopped protecting her. The aftermath did not end that night, and that mattered. Ryan's sister called the next morning and said she was done covering for their mother. 2 other relatives backed us openly after hearing exactly what Lily repeated. The family group chat exploded, but for once, the truth did not get buried under "that's just how she is." Ryan sent Diane a written message making it clear there would be no contact with Lily at all. Not calls, not gifts, not surprise visits. He told her that unless she admitted what she did without excuses and sought professional counseling, she would not be part of our lives. We documented what happened, including witness statements from relatives who were there, because after what she said privately to Lily, I was not leaving room for denial later. And Lily? We got her into counseling because cruelty like that sinks deep when it reaches a child through someone called Grandma. The therapist helped us understand that Lily's clinginess and nightmares were fear responses, not phases. Once she had words for what happened, she started sleeping again. A few days later, Ryan and I did Christmas over. Just us, no audience, no tension, no pretending. We made pancakes for dinner, let Lily open one small present at a time, and pulled out the framed photo from the day Ryan adopted her. She put it in the center of the mantel herself and said, "This one is my favorite because that's when we all matched." That nearly broke me, because she was right. Diane had tried to turn Christmas into the day my daughter felt unwanted. Instead, it became the day the truth came out, the day my husband finally chose his child over his mother's lies, and the day our family stopped performing peace and started protecting each other for real. That was the end of it. Not neat, not painless, but complete. And in my house now, my daughter never has to wonder whether she belongs.